So we've got some extra news going into the mega sets that should take over from the Scarlet and Violet. We're obviously going to get Japanese news first, as we seem to be like 3 or 4 sets ahead. We're obviously seeing Journey Together coming out in the next couple of weeks. We have obviously got the first set of Hot Air Arena coming, which is going to be our Destined Rivals in the English set later on in a couple of months. But we've already got news on the brand new Megas. Now, obviously with these, there's going to be a lot more news coming, and I will try and kind of keep up to date with the news as quick as possible. But basically, the premise of what these Megas are, if you've not seen anything about them, is the fact that they are going to take over from Scarlet and Violet, or at least that is the news that we know so far. So obviously there should be quite a few good sets that are just mega orientated instead of going for, well, I mean, I suppose the EX is still going to be there, but they are going to be focusing more on, say, a mega Lucario, a mega Gengar, hoping. But in general, they are going to be focusing on them more so than your kind of just normal Gengar, normal God of War, and all of that good stuff. So naturally we're going to be seeing a lot of this. So we got Mega Brave and Mega Symphonia will release on August 1st in Japan. The set will feature Mega Lucario EX and obviously God of War EX respectively. The prefix of each set will be Pokemon card game Mega, again confirming the TCG is departing from Scarlet and Violet series, which is, it just can't believe that that's already gone. I remember getting the very first Scarlet and Violet, and then now it's like we've just ended on a big old mess. Like, genuinely, when you think of, if you go back to obviously base Scarlet and Violet, then you go into like Temporal Forces, even the starts of Obsidian Flame, of obviously Paldean Evolved, even throwing in a little bit of Paldean Fates as well. The sets just seemed okay, like they seemed alright. You kind of just got what you wanted, really. You got a booster box of them in ETB, all normal prices, and then it went to 151 and we got a little bit more hype, and then into Surgeon Sparks and Prismatic, and I'm like, where's Scarlet and Violet gone? Like, genuinely, other than going to the shop down the road and just getting single packs, it's absolutely crazy. But back to the Megas. Obviously, the last time we saw the Mega Pokemon, I believe, was Cosmic Eclipse in Sun and Moon. We have seen them throughout the history of Pokemon cards in general. We've seen a lot of nice ones, and honestly, I'm in 2 different moods with it personally, because when you look along these sorts of cards, like, I kind of like that. If they were to be quite literally that, it's not terrible. I'll be very more interested to see what the illustration arts look like. But when you go into kind of this, again, I like how it looks in more the Japanese, how the color pops, but it's just a lot. It just makes me think, when I look at the kind of V sets of cards from obviously the Sword and Shield set, I'm trying to think where we go, in the Sword and Shield, the Vs, as you see on the Luminion on the bottom there, I thought they were like okay. I kind of joined midway through a little bit of Sword and Shield, so I kind of didn't go from the Sun and Moon era all the way in and the X and Y. I kind of just jumped fully into the Sun and Moon, and you kind of saw them and you thought, they're all right. Like, they're a pound. You see them as monetary value. But now I look at the EXs and I look now into these, and then obviously we look into them, and I'm like, the Vs actually were solid, like genuinely solid. And that just comes from a perspective of my own. To be honest, we've got a lot of Scarlet and Violets coming in, obviously Journey Together, and then we will get the Destined Rivals, as I believe that should be the final set then, because obviously we've got the Hot Air Arena. We then have the next one, which will be the Rocket set in Japanese, and then it will be the Mega. So I'm assuming we've got Journey Together, and then we've obviously got the Destined Rivals, and that really should be it. We should then hopefully see some news for the Mega in English. But if we go all the way back to Sun and Moon, this is kind of like where we saw the GX cards. I rated these madly as well. Like, these were incredible in themselves. Obviously, again, more of the full art sort of vibe. But having, how many adverts is going to be here? It's unbelievable. But then obviously having the Megas in there as well. A few tag teams which were incredible. Like some of the sets, if you do go back in history, like some of these cards are absolutely gorgeous from just looking at them. Like Piplup and Blastoise, like who would throw them together? You obviously then have like a Venusaur and Snivy. So you've always got to take everything on its merit. But I believe if we go further down, I want to say it was Cosmic Eclipse where that had the megas, but I cannot remember which ones they were. Like I say, the megas in my eyes were, that is an unreal card as well, but they were kind of, oh, there it is. Yeah, so I suppose you've technically got megas in there with Luponi. Obviously then is that it? We got, because obviously I'm used to having so much at the end, to be honest. We're just getting every ad going. Luponi's mega. We then really didn't have too much after that, so it's kind of picking and choosing really. So we had a little bit in Sun and Moon, but the ones that obviously a lot of people will remember is going to be in your X and Y days. Like they were absolutely crazy for it as well, and I think they've kind of been spotted throughout the history of these, so it's just going to be another one. But it seems to be that this is going to be more of a constant theme of them, more so than anything. And I believe Evolutions was a big one, with obviously the Venusaur and Charizard having the Mega Venusaur EX. It's quite a nice card. Like obviously, even then looking at the prices of that, and you think, well, that's a very solid card in a very good deck. To only be like $9.50 now is crazy when you think of some cards. Obviously then you've got the Charizard's multiple versions, and this will be how they kind of run the theme. Obviously you've got the Mega Charizard EX, you then also have got the normal Charizard EX, and then you'll also have a Charizard, which so happens to be the base set, which is just incredible in itself. But in general, you will get a lot of these megas coming in, and even then when you look at the mega Pokemon and think what they could do, there is a lot that they can now go with. Like I don't know if there's any new ones coming within this kind of set. I don't know if that's what they're hinting towards, but when you do look throughout the whole of the megas, you've obviously got Venusaur, the double Charizard and Blastoise being the main set. We then have Beedrill, Pidgeot, Alakazam, Slowbro, Gengar, Kangaskhan, Pinsir, Gyarados, Aerodactyl, and Mewtwo for the original 151. Obviously throwing in a bit of Scizor, some Steelix cards. Tyranitar is obviously going to be a big theme from this. More than likely we'll see maybe another set of kind of starter Pokemon going into this. I know they missed out the Typhlosions, and with all of the Hisuian versions, and obviously with all of them kind of alternate sort of versions, you might not see all of the starters in there. I know obviously Typhlosion, it's mainly just the Hisuian version that is the main one. There's no Hisuian Cyndaquil as such, but it is the Typhlosion in itself. I know we don't really, I mean, a Mega Fraligator would actually be pretty sick, but we do have Mega Diancie, Gallade, Guavadir, obviously, or I can never say the name right, so ignore. Ray's obviously going to be a massive one in this. Latios, Latios, Salamence, Metagross, some huge names. So if you think what you've got, I don't know, does it tell me how many you've got? I think it was about 50 something now. If we go by rows, we've got 6 per row. How many we've got here? 3, 6, 7, 8. So we're looking at what, 20... No, 48, that of course. So obviously looking at around about 48, maybe add a couple more Pokemon that would be spread throughout the entirety of the set. I don't know if they're going to do all of them. Maybe even they do like something like Evolutions where you've got a specific set. Like I know it may not be 151 because obviously they've just done the 151 remake, but 30th Celebration coming during this kind of era of sets. It's going to be a very interesting one. I do think they can get this so right if they just play their cards right. And obviously at the minute, I think everybody's kind of holding on to news really, because obviously we've still got to wait for the sets to actually catch up with themselves. Now obviously we're talking a little bit down from the future now. Like this is not going to be within the next kind of couple of months. Well, I mean, probably like maybe half a year at this point, like we saw with the Japanese versions coming out in August. If we think that we've got Destined Rivals that I believe it is meant to be, I want to say it's like July set. I want to say that it's July. It might be even, I think it's about June. Oh no, 30th of May. Oh, it has been confirmed for that. I thought it was June. But say you got 30th of May, then obviously you've got May, June, July, August. We could have another set by then. Whether we might have like a little mini set by the end. could be something very similar to how like a Crown Zenith is run, but we've not had any news on that end. So more than likely, the only reason why I say that is because we normally get the kind of Japanese in first, and then it goes to English. So like, say we get this in August, it could be September, October time that we do see it in English. So I can imagine, unless they release it at the same time, like within the same month, maybe they get it on the 1st of August, we get it on like the 30th of August, and they miss a month. So basically Destined Rivals is the final one. We have like a 2-month break, maybe for them to set up everything, and then we go into Mega. It would be very interesting to see how that does go. But in general, I'm excited to see where it goes. Hopefully they do give us some massive sets with just enough product to go around. Praying anyway, otherwise we're going to start collecting Korean at this point. It's the only one that I can seem to find. But let me know down below what you think, and I'll catch you all for the next one. Megas are coming in the later half of this year.